All right. Hello. Okay, so first of all, I haven't been on for a while, and I keep promising myself that I'm going to be more diligent to taking care of you guys and helping answer some of your questions and whatever else I can do to help you out. So here is my goal, and hopefully I can do more than this. I love how well, I don't love, but I am cautiously promising you more updates. Can you tell? like, okay, I really want to go on live every day, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. So, what can I safely say? Yeah, no, okay. Anyways, what I want to tell you is I'm making a goal for myself to go live on our channel at least 3 times a week, which isn't daily by any means, but if I go over and beyond, kudos to me. But I don't, I have failed many times. So instead of putting the bar this high and just failing and not trying again, I'm just going to bring it lower and then more likely to succeed at it. And then once I get over that one, then I'm going to go over this one, just like you guys should do, like set little goals and just little steps to get to the big goal. My ultimate goal is daily, but I'm going to go to 3 to 5 days a week to start off with, right? Right. Okay. So, today I pretty much wanted to tell you why I got started. First of all, if you have any questions, put it in the chat because I'd love to answer your questions for you. That's the whole idea of coming on live, is to provide your questions and then or provide your answers to your questions. I've done a lot of research, and let me just back this up so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, let me move. Sorry, my screens are all bouncing back and forth here. Too many. Am I still live? You should only be allowed to. There we go. Okay, so fantastic. Okay, so basically, I want to kind of give you the backstory of like what all started this and why and how I basically got onto this. So I was in 2011, just like really, it was the tail end of 2011, just starting into 2012. And I'm sitting there on my couch, and we had just had a baby. Not only did we just have a baby a month ago, we moved. So within a month, we moved and had a baby. Moved after a C-section and had a baby. I'm sitting on the couch, and it's pretty early. It's probably around 5 a.m. And I'm nursing my baby. And I had been up, oh man, I'm multiple times that night, every 2 to 3 hours, I get woke up. We were in this rental because we had just moved. Like I said, we had just moved and we're trying to sell our house where we had from the town we had moved from. And we're in this rental, and we lived next to this dog that wouldn't stop barking. Granted, we have a dog. I don't necessarily have problems with dogs, but this dog was always outside. It was always barking at all hours of the night. And I don't know if it was indoors during the day. I was too exhausted to even notice, but this dog kept us up all night. We were in this old house, and everything creaked and echoed within it because it was such an old rental that we couldn't even put up family photos because the homeowner, he didn't want any marks on the walls. He didn't want any, it was that old, is it stucco? Is that the stuff that it's called? But anyways, he didn't want anything hung in the walls. And so we didn't have any family photos. It was just really a cold feeling in this house that you try to make a home because it's where your family lives. And anyways, so I'm sitting there in the dark. I'm nursing my daughter, and I'm thinking, I'm so exhausted. And I couldn't even think of anything else. I'm just like, I am so exhausted. I just need, you know what? I need a couple hours of sleep. I just need a couple more hours. And you know how you like talk to yourself and you're thinking, um, you're like convince yourself that everything will be all right. You know, just need a couple more hours of sleep, and then yeah, and then I'll get, and then I'll wake up, and the kids and I will go do this and we'll go do that. We'll go play outside. We'll do some projects. And you know, I got to thinking about that, and you kind of like psych yourself up. You get all excited. So I got a little bit more energy. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, it's 5 a.m., but I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to go. I'm going to go outside and play. And the more I thought about going outside and in this, you know, and playing outside and having fun, the more excited and more energy I got. Remember, this is like December, January, and so it's cold outside. But just the idea of being out and about instead of in this cold house, I'll be outside in the cold. But I'll get to go on this walk, and then I just kind of I don't know, just think I kind of laugh at it now, but I think about how we'd go out on this walk and I would basically be fumbling. I had this stroller, you know, with the big wheels so we can get through the snow drifts stuff. I'd be fumbling with that. My son, he'd want to ride his bike. He's a toddler or was a toddler at the time. And it was, I don't know what my problem was, but we got it at a pawn shop, and it was the heaviest bike we owned. And he was two and a half, you know, with training wheels. It was like the heaviest bike. Anyways, I ended up putting it on my shoulder most of the time because he wouldn't ride it, and he would sit on the front of the stroller at my daughter's feet, and I'd be pushing it, and it would be like bending the frame of the stroller and everything. Anyways, it was long walk. Sometimes I have my niece on my shoulders or my back to go along with it, but it was an event. But the whole idea is, you know, this is where I started, and I was exhausted, and you know, we could use extra money. We were making it, but we were making it just by a thread. I mean, just if the price of milk went up a few cents, we were already in debt. I mean, that's how close it was. And it was awesome to be able to be at home with the kids when I wasn't at home at the previous town, because there's absolutely no way we would have made it um, on one income in that previous town. But um, anyways, here we were able to survive on this one income. So anyways, the point is I was exhausted and I knew we could use more money. We needed some more money. My husband's mom, she would call and she'd talk to my husband, and I could hear him visiting, and I could hear her talking about, oh, well, is Jess going to get a job? When is she going to go get a job? And they knew that our ideal plan was for me to stay home with the kids, and to that my husband would support us. Like that was our ideal job, or our ideal situation dynamics. And I think they had to have known that we were ridiculously tight, because I could hear her talking to him when they'd come and visit, or when we'd go over there, I guess, to visit. She would talk to me about it and like, well, you know, you tight it. We would help even if you would just go get a part-time job. You know, go do this or that. You know, just bring in a little bit extra money, help with the finances. You know, I knew that I wanted to help. I would love the idea of helping. We didn't have much money, and I knew we could use more. You know, I want a good home cooked meal. I loved being home when my husband came home. I loved being able to play with my kids. It was happy. I loved it. But at the same time, I felt that burden where we were just stressed. Like when I'd go to the grocery store and I didn't know if I had enough money to pay the bills or to pay for the groceries. And I wanted to stay at home with the kids. And, you know, sometimes I felt like it wasn't going to work. You know, there's no way that I'm going to be able to stay at home. This is just a dream. I'm just so tired. This is make believe. And I'm going to have to get up and go to work and leave my kids and drop them off at the daycare. And like just bawl my way to work every day and then come home and I'd be so exhausted that I won't get time to play with my kids and I won't get um, to do fun stuff and I won't have the energy to make a good meal or cook a good meal. And and what for pennies on the dollar because the cost of daycare and how expensive that is. And I have two toddlers at this point, or one a brand new baby and a toddler. I mean, how would I balance that? To me, that is it's not worth juggling a job and giving up that type of lifestyle. I knew that. And I flat out didn't want to go to work. I did not want to bring my kids to someone else to raise them. I wanted to raise them. And I wanted to be doing the activities with them. And I wanted to enjoy the sunshine, even if it was cold outside. I wanted to be able to enjoy it. But I wanted to help financially. I didn't feel like it was fair. So, anyways, I'm trying to figure out the best way to help our finances, to help my husband. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I was talking to some people at church, and they coupon. They make it by couponing. And I remember my mom doing some coupons, not big. Like she was very good with keeping our finances down. But I remember I went and I tried to coupon. Couponing sucks. Have you guys tried that? It sucks. And I seriously don't wish that upon anybody. I absolutely hated it. And I seriously spent more, I know I spent more time. Like my time had to have been more valuable than what I got. And I spent more than I saved. And I'm pretty sure I still have some of those stupid Glade plug-in refills. I probably don't even have the Glade plugins, but those refills that I was so proud that I saved $1 on. I know I have a ton of those. But you remember you get all those coupons, and I was not good at couponing. It was rough and so frustrating, so time consuming, so messy, and I was not good at it. So that was one of the problems that I hit. And I felt like, I'm pretty much at the point that I have no choice. I either have to find a way to work from home. Is there a way I can work from home? I mean, I had been trying to do it for years before I even had my first kid, my son. And I tried medical transcription. I suck at that, by the way. P.S. I'm not good with medical terminology. And so I tried that. Nope, that didn't work. I tried doing website design. I was not good at it. I could do it. It was not pretty. And it was just a lot of, it was just, I wasn't passionate about it. And that might sound silly to you, but I didn't, it's keep doing. It just felt like it was draining me. And I could keep myself busy for hours and not get anything done with it. Anyways, I had to find a way to work from home, or I was flat out going to get rid of my freedom. I was going to get rid of the ability to stay home with my kids and that idea, that ideal life that my husband and I had imagined that we wanted. Instead, I'm going to get pushed back into this rat race that our nation, this normalcy that we've got going on for us here. And I didn't want that. That was not a normal that I wanted. So I was sitting there nursing later in the afternoon. Now this obviously wasn't the same day. I mean, I battled this for weeks. I was days, weeks, months, even after I was going through these emails and I found what I thought was like jackpot. This is what I'm doing. I was like, yes, I hit it right here. I got it. Boom. This is what I'm doing. It had been a couple of months at least, and I'm going through the emails. You get all those emails, you get on these words, get on all these mailing lists, and going through email after email. I mean, I'm nursing. We don't have TV. We can't have cable. We don't have enough money for that. So I'm just sitting there and trying not to fall asleep and going through my emails, and I came across this one, and I'm like, this is, my I remember my mom mentioning that there was a need for this. My parents are teachers. All parents, cousins, brothers. I mean, they're teachers everywhere in my family, grandparents. And anyways, my mom's a teacher, and she had mentioned to me years ago about children's books and how there was such a need for children's books, good children's books in the industry, and they just need. They're always looking for more. Um, anyway, so I remember coming across this email, and it was talking about creating a children's book, publishing a children's book, a Kindle book to be more specific. And I was like, that would be cool. I would love to write a book. And I remember back in when I was fourth grade, I want to say, when I was in fourth grade, I created this book. You know, you do projects all the time at home. So I'm doing this book, and I cut out the cardboard, and I pasted construction paper on. Well, I drew on it, and then I pasted construction paper on it, on the cardboard, and then basically put paper inside of the cardboard, and then I sewed it up, and I made myself a little book. I bind, that was the binding, and I had created this story, which was awfully similar to the Winnie the Pooh story. It was about Tigger, this character called Tigger. Anyways, I was in fourth grade. Give me a break. But I remember I was so proud of that, and that's when my mom told me, "Oh, Jess, have you ever thought about doing this for, like when you grow up, do you want to do this?" Well, that'd be cool. But I had forgotten about it, and I had gone on to other things. And anyways, I thought, what if I did do this? There's this free webinar that they're advertising in this email. This free webinar. If I learned how to make a Kindle book, maybe I can make money at that. Maybe I can sell them, and people would buy them. It'd be all over Amazon. I'd make a ton of money. It would be amazing. I will be amazing. Make a lot of money. Totally had the wrong idea. A very skewed, childlike dream of what was going to happen. Yeah. So my idea basically was to continue on our walks, continue doing what we always did. We would go on our walks every day, and they were long walks, hour long sometimes, just trying to get to the park itself and then play at the park. But what we would do is we'd make up stories along the way. And remember, I had little ones. So the one was just an infant, and then the other one was 2.5 by this time, and then his cousin was with us all the time, and she was 2.5, and we'd just sit and we'd make up stories. We'd tell stories on our walk. We'd, just fun, just being silly, and I could be creative, and nobody was judging me because I was with my kids. And the funnier my story was, the more silly things that my character did. And the more my character related to my kids, the more they enjoyed it. And so we would just make up stories, and then they'd make up stories. But we'd come back and I'd write them down so that I wouldn't forget anything. And I'd try to remember all the things that I described and all the description and everything. And I'd jot it down, and I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. So I'll just we'll keep telling the stories. I'll keep writing them down. And then I'll draw the pictures, I'll create the illustrations, and then ta-da, a children's book. Oh, and then I'll just keep doing it and over and over. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. I get to be with my family. I get to do the projects with them that we always do, because I was doing a lot of projects, hands-on projects, trying to at least to keep them entertained. And especially my son, he always needs a project, a friend, a buddy, or whatever. He needs to be entertained. So I wanted to do this, and I thought, this is going to be an awesome way to have to help financially. I'm like, this is going to be great. But then I watched this webinar, and my mind was blown. I'm like, look at the possibilities. This is awesome. I can totally do this. And so I bought it. Found out that it can be done, but there's there's going to be some expenses that you're going to need. Remember, if the cost of milk was going to go up, I was hurting. I was in debt. I was going to go backwards. So here I'm watching this webinar, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Got my credit card out, which I never put money on my credit card because I'm like, how do we pay it back? We can't even pay for the food. How am I going to pay back a credit card when I don't have any money to put on to buy the thing originally? Now I'm going to pay more because I have interest. Yeah, put it down, and I'm like, I put that money on my credit card, and I bought the program, and I'm so excited. I'm going through it as fast as I could, and I just eager, just so excited. And I'd wake up in the morning, I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd be so tired, so exhausted. But then I thought, oh, but I'm gonna be helping. I'm gonna wake up, and after this nap, after a few more hours of sleeping, and then a few interruptions, I'm gonna wake up, and my kids and I we're gonna go on a walk. We're gonna come back and write this story, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this. So I went through the course that I bought through the webinar, and definitely found out, gained a lot of information. So I don't want to downplay that. I gained a lot of knowledge. But at the same time, there were so many unknowns, and it was so frustrating because he's like, yeah, you can do it for free. You can publish it for free. You can do this and that. Yeah, but I was just frustrated because there were some unknown expenses, just like so many things that you buy. You're like, oh, but then it's going to cost you this, and then it's going to cost you this. It's like buying a car, and you're so excited to get this car because you got the steal of a deal, and then you find out, oh, but then you've got insurance, and then you've got to register it, and then you've got to pay gas for it, and then you've got, oh yeah, but if you want this to work, then you need to pay this much money. I mean, I just got a car that has OnStar. We've never had OnStar in our vehicles because they've never been new enough. And so I get OnStar, but you can't have OnStar because it's going to be an extra $60, $15 to $60 a month. And then you're thinking about all these extra expenses, just like anything else. You're like, oh, but that's not going to work unless you have this. Internet's great, but you're also going to need this and this. Anyways, okay, so I got this course. I'm going through it. I find out that there are a lot of unknowns for expenses, a lot of just things that I need to know beyond how to publish this book or how to write this book and everything. There's so many unknowns, and how to tell a story right. I love children's books, by the way, and I just absorb them like crazy. I love to read them. But I didn't think about how to tell a story right, how, proper writing techniques. And then I didn't even think about, okay, so once I created it, how am I going to market it? Well, geez Louise, I don't even know. It didn't even cross my mind. And then it's like, oh, it seems so expensive. And, once I did start thinking about marketing, I'm like, yeah, man, it's so expensive. And no, this thing that I thought was going to be so cheap and I'm so resourceful at, all of a sudden I am completely overwhelmed and I want to give up. And then I'm overwhelmed by the idea of, oh, what if I stop thinking of ideas? Because I got to keep pumping them out because they're only going to make a little bit here and a little bit there. I mean, I went from so excited to I'm up here and then I just fall hard. But I didn't want to give up because I hate giving up and I love a challenge. But I feel defeated because I need the income and I need the income fast because I've got my husband who's working his tail off and trying to support us. And I want him to come home to a clean home. Good luck, by the way. I have an infant. I'm too tired for that. I want him to come home to a clean home. I want him to come home to kids who are clean and well fed and full of energy and who have played hard all day and who have learned stuff throughout the day. and my energy just depleted. So once I convinced myself that this is a possibility, and if I'm going to do this, I've got to do this because I don't know how else to make money from home. I'm and I have to make money from home. I do absolutely do not want to go back to work in an office environment. Period. Don't want it. So I took that course. I finished that course, and then I went searching. I found webinars and I studied and researched and absorbed every PDF, every webinar, every course I could find. I had no money, so everything had to be free, pretty much free. And there's so much information out there on the internet, but you have to be diligent and you have to work to find it. And just it's there. It is there. And so I snagged every freebie and found every book. I mean, we went to the library often to get a new book. And then if it was on publishing or marketing, children's books or self-publishing or traditional publishing, if it was on any of those, if it was on informational books for children, or if it was on fictional books for children, if it was on any of that, I was going to read the book. I was going to learn how to do it. I was going to learn as much as I could about it. But then I did it. And, I did this for about a year. I did it for a lot longer than that too, without delay. But I did it for over a year, and I pretty much could answer any aspiring author's questions about publishing on multiple platforms even. And I could answer how much it was going to be. I could answer how long it was going to take, or how to effectively, whether it be publish or market or whatever. I could do that. And at the time, I was pretty much, learning. Everything that I was doing was pretty much based off of case studies that I was reading and learning from, and not so much my own experience. Now, granted, that's changed a bit now, but at the time, that's what it was. It was just case study after case study, not my own, but others' case studies. And so I've learned, this is the mistake they made right off the bat. Don't do that. This is how they saw the success. And then I try and focus on that. But I was super intimidated on taking the next step and trying it again, because during this course that I had taken originally, that initiated this, I made my first Kindle book, and it did not make one sale, not one. I did not tell anybody about it because I think I was a bit embarrassed, because I didn't think the quality was the way that was up to par like it should have been. But I didn't market it. So one, that's my fault. I didn't market it. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't do anything. Didn't even try to sell it. I expected Amazon to sell it for me. That was my first mistake. And then I was in such a rush to make money that I didn't do a great job of editing. I didn't do a good job of editing, period. I didn't do a great job of creating. And I was embarrassed. Anyways, I went through and I learned as much as I could about everything. And I was this bundle of information. I mean, I was like Google on publishing. Google, because Google doesn't actually do it themselves, but yet they teach you. They have the answers, but they're not necessarily doing it for you. Anyways, so several years later, I was with a friend, and we were sitting at the park, and we were just visiting, and she's like, you know what? I got to tell you, I'm so excited. I have to tell somebody this. And she goes, I wrote a children's book. And I was like, no way, good for you. I'm like, well, what's it about? And anyways, we got to talking about it, and she's like, yeah, but she didn't tell me what this is about, by the way. But we did get to talking about the process for the most part. And I said, yeah, I published a children's book a few years ago. And she goes, you did? Why am I just learning this now? And I told her, I said, well, because I was nervous, I was embarrassed in there. I don't know. I don't want people, I don't want to be that person like the MLM marketing, um, and forcing this on my friends and family. I didn't want to be that person. So I didn't tell a person. I didn't tell one soul that I did it. And she goes, why am I just learning about this now? And then I explained myself, kind of went into the whole shame part of the story. And she was asking me questions. She's like, well, how did you do it? And I told her, and I said, well, it was a Kindle version, but I did do, and by this time I had done some paperback versions as well, but they weren't, they weren't children's books for that part. Then most of the books are on other things like resumes and just other things. And I kind of portrayed it that way, like, hey, there's nothing, I just did this and I did that. And she just sat there and looked at me and she's like, well, how did you know how to do that? Well, I don't know how to do that. How did you do that? And just kept asking me all these questions, and I just give her the answer. But every time I gave her the answer, like, I could see that she really was excited to learn the answer. But once I started telling her how to do it, she just kind of pulled away. But then she'd ask me another question, and then she'd kind of pull away. And then it wasn't until just recently that I realized that I have that techno babble. Russell talks about it all the time. Anyways, the techno babble, where you know so much about something and you start to use that jargon, the jargon for that industry. Nobody else knows what that means unless they do it. Anyways, I now know how to talk to somebody about publishing a book and explain to them in layman's terms what something means and what the difference between printing and publishing is. But back to my point, that basically was when it started, when I started publishing for others. And this friend of mine, she didn't know what to do, didn't know the next steps, had absolutely no desire to learn the process because she didn't have time to learn it either. She just wanted to start to get it published and start marketing it. So I published it for her. I answered the questions and just skipped over the things that she didn't need to know. That was just more fluff than anything else, because that's basically during this whole process where this whole year of where all I did was just research and research and research. I got a lot of random facts, a lot of fluff that I around really the publishing and printing or big expensive ways to publish or big expensive ways to market, none of which were feasible for myself, for my friend, who most of these parents who just want to do a creative project with their kids, which is what she was doing, the same thing that I was doing, a creative project with their kids, with their family, and still reap a little bit of income, get a benefit out of the whole process, an additional benefit, a monetary benefit as well. And anyway, so I ended up focusing less on my own creations and more on other people's, other authors or prospective authors at the time, creations, their projects. And I went from making pennies with my own, and I started making a little bit, but it was pennies with my own, to cutting the time in half significantly and publishing other people's works and helping them market their work, someone else's work, for them. And it took less of my time, but I was able to make an income off of it. So I didn't have to, I didn't have to keep coming up with those creative ideas. Now, when it came to the cover design and stuff like that, I did, but I was feeding off of their energy and their creations. So I was able to visualize that, and I was able to create the covers that they wanted. And then they didn't have to go through all of the research, the months and the years of research, just to publish their book at a price that they could afford. So I was basically their Q&A. I had the knowledge that they needed, and I had the experience in what they needed, and now they could just have me do it in a fraction of the time it would have taken for them to learn it. So that's really how this all started in a nutshell. That's how it all started. My nutshell, sorry, I got a little long-winded. But that's how this happened. And um, if you have questions, that's what I want this channel to be all about. I want you to be able to ask the questions, and I want to be able to answer those so that you don't have to go searching and you don't have to spend years and months, days, months, years trying to come up with the answers to something that I have done all of the research and found out already for you. So if you have a question on publishing or printing your children's book, or layout, or format, or designing, or writing, leave a comment or contact me so that I can answer that for you. So you can leave a comment on any of the replays, and I would be happy to get back to you on those. Thank you, you guys.